The Trailblazer Award recognizes visionaries whose contributions have had lasting and significant impact on not only our technology community, but also our state. Previous winners include Bobby Schnabel, Don Brown, Scott Dorsey, Bill Godfrey, Bob Compton, Joanne Gora, Scott Weber, Will Davis, Michael McRobbie, Mark Hill, Scott Jones, David Becker, the Lilly Endowment, and Martin Jitsky. Quite a host of fellows. We have a video to honor this year's winner, Chris Baggott.
Chris has just been an incredible trailblazer. He has this unique ability to see around corners. He can identify a trend well before others see it. And he really does that through a lot of reading, research, talking to many people, learning. Chris is just a lifelong learner. He's a consummate learner. He's an avid reader, and he forms his own point of view. One of my favorite quotes about innovators is they have to be willing to be misunderstood for long periods of time. And Chris is. And when he gets passionate about an idea, then his passion becomes infectious, and everybody around him gets excited and often kind of falls in line and wants to pursue that same dream that Chris has.
Chris is fearless and is also not, you can't pigeon him in. From email to pigs and cows to corn to a restaurant. If he sees a need that he thinks is an up-and-coming need, he's not afraid to tackle it.
He's an extraordinary entrepreneur. He's very innovative. He's very courageous, and he's just made huge contributions to the tech community. For an entrepreneur to start one company that scaled the way ExactTarget did and then ultimately sold to Salesforce, and then a second, Compendium, another great success story that ultimately sold to Oracle, that's pretty extraordinary. And to have those two successes in Indianapolis really says something about Chris and his vision. It's really hard to build one successful tech company, but to found and build two is really quite extraordinary. We're so lucky to have Chris in our tech community.
Chris started out, didn't know a thing about farming. It's amazing to see how it's progressed. We started 4 years ago with 90-some acres. Now we're up to almost 600. We supply a lot of restaurants, so on and so forth, delivery service, which Chris is very involved in as far as setting that up. It's grown immensely due to Chris's drive and ambition. Everything Chris is involved in, he dives in 100%. Very, very passionate, Asked me 5 years ago, is Chris going to become a farmer? Who knows, But obviously, he's very dedicated to his task, and you see how things are coming along.
And now to watch Chris turn his passion toward agriculture and healthy living and healthy eating in the food industry, and how we can apply technology and innovation to the food industry is incredibly exciting.
Chris has an uncanny way of identifying a need that no one else knows they need yet. He can take a sentence he reads on some article from a magazine you've never heard of that just lights inside of him, and he's like, this is it. This is going to be big, and he's right, usually.
He's a disruptor. He likes to disrupt. He likes to disrupt the establishment. Organizations, industries that are just ripe for innovation and redefinition. That's where Chris plays the best. And it's really been fun to watch him do it time and time again. And now to be able to springboard for technology and agriculture and food is really quite incredible. And I think in many ways he's just getting started.
Chris, we're going to talk about you for a minute, so stay where you are. I want to welcome Bobby Schnabel, Dean of the IU School of Informatics and Computing, to say a few words.
Thanks, Mike. I'm just delighted that Chris Baggott has been chosen as the 2015 Trailblazer Award recipient, and it's a real honor to get to introduce him. This is recognition that is not only very well deserved, but I'm sure a lot of you will agree with me, very well overdue. The video told much of the story of Chris, so I'm just going to fill in a few of the blanks. Chris is a native of Pittsburgh. He attended Evergreen State College in, can anybody tell me? Olympia, Washington, where according to his LinkedIn page, he worked as a river guide, skied a lot, and spent a semester in the Middle East. Early in his career, Chris worked in sales and product manager positions for Abbott Diagnostics and marketing positions for R.R. Donnelley. And then, as you saw in the video, in 2000, Chris, Scott Dorsey, and Peter McCormick founded ExactTarget, where Chris served as the chief marketing officer. And then Chris went on to found Compendium in 2007 and serve as its CEO. And as you heard Scott say, those two companies rank as two of the great successes of the Indiana tech scene. While still running Compendium, Chris showed the restlessness that I think is a characteristic of many great entrepreneurs by embarking on his agricultural ventures, founding Tyner Pond Farm and later Husk Foods, and he's still very much involved in both. In fact, Mike Langelier had a great statement about Chris in the release. He said, "He may be the only person in the world to sell two companies he co-founded to two of the largest software companies in the world in the same year. He is certainly the first to do so while also starting a sweet corn factory." To top it off, Chris also found time in that same year, 2007, to author a book, Email Marketing by the Numbers. And finally, on a more personal note, I had the pleasure of working with Chris as one of the founding partners of our Indiana University Best Student Entrepreneurship Competition, and I can vouch that his creativity and enthusiasm in working with our student entrepreneurs was both wonderful and infectious. So it's a great pleasure to welcome and congratulate Chris Baggott as the 2015 TechPoint Trailblazer in Technology.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to all the winners tonight. I'm a little bittersweetly jealous of Ilya. This seems like the other end of his career. I don't know, but anyway, congratulations to everyone. I wanted to start off several years ago, I had the honor of speaking to Harvard Business School entrepreneurs. It was really heady to be invited there, and I talked about fundraising. And my favorite fundraising has always been friends and family, small checks from lots of people that can afford to lose it or, trust me. And a young man stood up and kind of seemed like he was speaking for the whole crowd when he said, we really don't like mixing up our family life with our business life, right? And, for most of you well, I can't tell you what I said, but, that's impossible, right? This is a totally immersive line of work that we've all chosen. And there's no such thing as a line between family and business when you're an entrepreneur, and I think you all know that. When young entrepreneurs come to me and ask me for advice, the very first thing I say to them is, marry well. Because that's the key, right? You can't do this without a spouse that is on the mission with you. And in that respect, I've been incredibly lucky with my wife, Amy. When I first met her in Chicago a little over 25 years ago, I fell in love immediately because she was smart, she was pretty, she's super fun. But she also got the mission. She understood it. She had no idea what the mission was going to be, and I still don't, but she's been there every step of the way, and thank you so much. In my life and business, I'm completely helpless without great partners. My success has really only been because I've been freakishly fortunate to have great co-founders and partners in every company that I've been involved in, and I'd like to thank them individually now. So Ali Sales Roach, I saw you somewhere, but thank you very much for helping me start Compendium. After Ali moved on, Frank, Dale, and James Payden, I absolutely could not have done it without you guys either, so thank you very much. I got lots of time. All right, so I've been rushing. Mark Farrell, Tyner Pond Farms. You saw Mark on the video there, and you talk about someone that I've been yanking out of his element, but thank you very much. Any of you who think that Tyner Pond is some kind of retirement plan or a hobby, please see Mark after the event here tonight. Young Nick Carter, Husk, Potluck Capital, FarmersMarket.com, Farm League. I know I'm forgetting a couple, Nick, but thank you so much. Mike and Abby Tambasco, they run our food businesses. Right now, The Mug. We have another LLC called Real Food LLC. We're starting a yet-to-be-named pasta factory in Indianapolis. Thank you, Mike and Abby, so much. We're doing great out there. Mike and Abby are also cousins, so remember that whole work and family thing. On that whole line, I think the person I'd like to thank most is my brother-in-law, Scott Dorsey. It's probably the most successful family partnership since the Wright brothers in Indiana. Scott, thank you. You're an amazing leader. You're a visionary builder, and there's no question I'd not be here if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much. I have to throw Erin in there. My sister-in-law, Erin, thank you so much for marrying Scott and bringing him to us. I'd also like to thank my investors. There's probably about 100 of you here in the room. As I said, I like to get money from a lot of people. What I love about this community is we all give back to each other. We've all been very supportive. Most of the people who've invested in the companies I've started have been fellow entrepreneurs. They understand the mission, they understand risk, and they reward vision, and that makes me very happy. I specifically like to call out my father-in-law, Dr. Jim Anderson, who unfortunately can't be here with us tonight. Dr. Anderson invested in my very first company. Some of you know this story, some of you don't, but let's just say he lost $250,000 and was still the, we went bankrupt, by the way. But he was still the very first person to step up and help us get ExactTargets funded. He made sure that Scott was on board this time. but he was also an enthusiastic supporter of Compendium. And finally, to wrap up the whole family business relationship, my sister and brother-in-law, Dr. Rick Sasso and his wife April, who April is my wife's sister, along with Aaron, and they've always been first in line and quick to invest in our businesses as well. So much for not mixing business and family. At least in our family, it's pretty much the same thing. I know there are a lot of other people I should be calling out individually, Blazinski, Foudy, you guys, and there's a lot more of you. Mike gave me 3 minutes, so I'm going to go. But thank you very, very much. I love this community, and I really appreciate this honor. Thank you.